Hello and welcome back to Friday Minis. Today, let's look at a networking related term. In fact, we're gonna look at several of those. First, DNS. What is DNS and what does it do? DNS stands for Domain Name Server. And the whole idea is this. All the actual servers on the internet are actually identified by their IP address. However, that's not very useful. It is so much easier to remember google.com as opposed to its IP address, which is actually shown on screen right now. Essentially, what DNS does is it translates this friendly URL into the actual IP address. That is why you can actually reach Google by typing google.com and not its actual IP address. Does this mean that basically every web page I browse to actually goes through a DNS? Well, actually yes. And what that means is you would expect DNS servers to have to do a lot of work. Now, one way to actually cut down on the amount of work DNS servers need to do is to actually cache your DNS mappings. What this means is if you have a brand new computer and you go to google.com, well, your computer is going to ask your DNS server what google.com actually is. The DNS server will return this IP address and your computer says, okay, so that's Google. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this into what is known as my Dns Cache. In the future, when the user goes to google.com again, your computer isn't going to go to the DNS server to ask for the mapping again. It's going to look at its own DNS cache, realize that hey, it has that particular IP address cached, and it's going to send a request directly to that IP address, and thus not having to bother the DNS server. Now, that is all well and good, but what if something changes? What if tomorrow Google decides to move its servers to another country? Now, as you would expect, well, the new server has a different IP address, despite the fact that it should still be reachable via the google.com domain name. However, your computer doesn't realize this because your computer still has the old IP address cached. So basically now, if you try to go to google.com, you are sent to a completely different place. This is when our final term of the day comes in, which is flushing the DNS cache. If you go to the command line and tell your computer to do a DNS flush, your computer actually empties out its DNS cache. And what that means is from this point forward, basically your cache is empty. So every time you actually want to go to a web page, you need to go to a DNS server first to actually get the IP address mapping. Of course, these then go into the new cache so that this won't happen again until you flush your cache. Of course, I ought to mention that these cache entries also have an expiry date. Normally they're set to about 24 to 48 hours, and what this means is basically these entries go stale after a while. This ensures that your computer remains generally up to date within about 24 to 48 hours of whatever is happening on the DNS. The whole purpose of doing this, of course, is to keep your computer generally up to date, so it won't hold an old mapping for a significant period of time. Anyway, that's it. That pretty much wraps it up for this episode of Friday Minis. I hope you learned something today, but until next time, you're watching 0612 TV. Hello, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, remember that I appreciate every like, favorite, and comment you give me. If you'd like to see more from me in the future, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And for more updates outside of YouTube, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at 0612TV. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.